Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video here on the channel. My name is Patrick, also known as Necatus, and today we'll be doing something a little different. Please excuse my very loud AC in the background. It is extremely hot here on the East Coast, and my AC can barely keep up. So recently, when I posted my library for my plasma drive Kalimba, where I connected my Kalimba to a plasma drive and recorded that and made that into a VST instrument using a decent sampler, I had a strange request, one that I was not necessarily expecting. A commenter asked if, well, they more or less said that the library was cool, and they asked if I could make just a Kalimba library, because they couldn't find a good Kalimba library. My initial thought is this real? There are a gazillion Kalimba libraries out there that are quality, well made, and frankly would probably be better than the ones that I could make anyways. So I tend to usually focus on more like artisanal, unique sound design versions, or like instruments that are hard to come by or not usually thought of. But I had some restraint and thought to myself, you know what? Why not just make a Kalimba library? It'd take me only like an hour. So I did. I made a Kalimba library. I just took this Kalimba and I did not record the direct line from the contact mic, because the contact mic, if any of you have worked with a contact mic before, doesn't sound great raw. And the whole reason you use a contact mic is to plug it into something else to get the signal, and use the Kalimba like a trigger, a MIDI controller almost, that kind of resonates a bit. So instead, I took a shotgun mic and I recorded the sound of the Kalimba resonating body and the tines being plucked. I arranged these into a decent sampler library with 5 round robins for every note. The whole time I was doing this, I couldn't help but wonder myself, what is the purpose of this? Why does somebody want this Kalimba? And a few things arose to me. You know, the obvious solution being probably the most likely, Occam's razor, that they just had a hard time finding a decent Kalimba library in their mind, and they thought maybe I could make a good one. Which, fair enough. But then something else kind of came to me. What if it wasn't actually that they couldn't find a good Kalimba, but they felt an attachment to my Kalimba? Because I have so many different versions of it already, two other versions, doing weird modulated effects, that they wanted to hear the source of these modulated effects just dry. And they wanted to use that in combination with the other types of Kalimbas. And that there was something more personal they were looking for. And that kind of brought me to thoughts of like what we live in contemporarily, this day and age of this massive social isolation, and how it's getting harder and harder to communicate with people, not because technology has gotten worse, or even that we've gotten worse at communicating with each other. More that our days and our lives are being increasingly isolated from one another due to forces of capitalism or political violence, and that having something that was personally done, even though this Kalimba is just a very simple, generic, easy to get a hold of Kalimba from California, nothing special, but it was my Kalimba. And maybe they wanted to have some sort of communication with me through this Kalimba. And there's something kind of sweet about that thought. The idea that no matter where we are in the world and what we're doing, you can still create things with others in mind, using things from people who made these things with others in mind in a more handcrafted and artisanal way. Since I'm not making these VSTs for profit, I'm making them for you all. That's it. I'm just sitting here doing this just because I can. I don't expect a thank you. I don't expect anything. And maybe that's the reason why they wanted my Kalimba. Because it's personal. Well, thank you for attending this little bit more ranty version, unscripted. See you next time, Patrick.